Good to be back again right here at 94.9 32 FM. Scoreboard Reloaded. Good afternoon, everyone. And I know, of course, most people observing the public holiday. So happy Easter to everyone. You're right here on the show we call Scoreboard Reloaded. I am Peter Omo. So much for us to discuss on the show. I'm hoping that 28 minutes will be enough for us. I say 28 because I think we're going to have a timeout at a point in time, just a couple of seconds, and then we'll be back. So 28, 27 minutes will be enough. I've got SAMIES here with me on the show. Like I said, so much from home, away from home, happened in terms of the headlines. The race for how the Premier League will end, how La Liga will finish, how the Italian League will end. Yes, I mentioned those three and left the other two. The French Ligue 1 is done with Paris Saint-Germain keep winning, yet to lose a game. Bayern won their game. Leverkusen failed to win, so that's getting close last night. While the Barca fans were hoping Atletico Bilbao would do them a favor, that didn't happen. Valverde was on hand, so maybe with 4 points, you say that's still open. Inter lost to Bologna by a goal to nil. Throw the gate, the window, everything open. And let me also state here that if the league ends this way, they are both on 71 points. Inter Milan and Napoli, then they have to go into a playoff. That's how it is in England. They don't look at the goal difference, the head-to-head, they'll go into a playoff. If three teams finish with the same number of points, let's assume Atalanta also finish the same number of points with Inter and Napoli, they go into a playoff. So there's no doing goal difference. You scored more than me, I scored more than you. Does not even happen. All right, so while I state all of that, the Premier League also, you say it's done and dusted, right? Yes, Liverpool, late winner yesterday. That's how you win games. That's how you win championship. And so they got the job done against King Power Stadium against Leicester, where they won by a goal to nil. And that means that Leicester joined Southampton in going down. And I don't know why they are yet to confirm Ipswich. Because for me, I think they're going to go down. Just a matter of time. They lost yesterday to Arsenal by 4 goals to nil. Even though it's not official yet, but I think Ipswich are also down. So go prepare for life in the championship. And speaking about the championship, it's Easter. And of course, it's holiday in the UK where there are plenty of games as we reach the business end of the championship with Leeds and Burnley both pushing each other. And of course, the other guys in the playoff zone. All right, so we'll wrap up the show with the MPFL. Not the show, maybe football now. MPFL, where we were talking about the game, how big it will be in Ibadan here without the fans. Shooting Stars against Remo Stars. All of this happened, and I'm hoping 25 will be enough to go to other routes and talk the other sport. Tennis, where Casper Ruud could not win in Barcelona after winning in Monte Carlo. It lost to Ugueruna in 2 straight sets yesterday in Barcelona, and some other headlines away from football. SAMIES is here with me on the show, so I'm going to be done. Take a little time out for a few minutes. Allow him also to share his thoughts. But if SAMIES will do that for me, we'll start with the Premier League quickly. SAMIES, it's a pleasure having you joining me on the show. Should we say the Premier League in terms of the league where it's headed is done and dusted, and we'll have to wait to see how the top 5 will look like? I know someone have said to me that Nottingham Forest will not finish above Chelsea and Manchester City. Maybe it's looking like that now because Chelsea left it late yesterday against Fulham, just the way Fulham did to Chelsea when they first met at Stamford Bridge. I'm talking about Old Trafford quickly here, where United lost by a goal. So maybe for United and Ogbonna, they're done with the league. It's just survive. And of course, with that game yesterday, with other teams not winning, they've survived the Premier League. There's no going down for the old devil, for the Red Devil. So we'll get that covered. But in terms of where all of this will end, I know you want to say Arsenal, Liverpool, first, second, Liverpool winning the league, Arsenal finishing second. There's Newcastle, there's City, there's Chelsea, there's Nottingham Forest, who play a game tonight in London against Tottenham Hotspur. So SAMIES and Aston Villa also beating Newcastle. So how many are they accounting now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bournemouth is out of it. Let's be sincere with ourselves here. So SAMIES, how do you see this finish with how many more games to go? 5 more games to go, right? All right.
Well, all right. It's definitely a pleasure to be here this lovely afternoon, and with 5 more games, 6 for Nottingham Forest, who is in contention to also play a European scene, European football this season. It is actually commendable how some teams that got their results over the course of the weekend. But if you ask me, in teams are fighting for that places in the UEFA Champions League or European places for next season, the biggest loser happened to be Newcastle Football Club, because a victory over the course of the weekend would have actually put them on 61 points, and that would put more fear on Arsenal Football Club, saying that second place position maybe is not in safe hands because they still have a Newcastle to also play. But with the result losing 4-1, I don't think that was the best for them. And maybe we will say that, well, it's just about the level of experience from the managers. You know, it was not this man, 𝐷𝐿, who was that's in the dugout. Rather, he had his assistant because this man is still hospitalized because of his pneumonia and all that. But for Newcastle, yes, they lost over the course of the weekend. But for Manchester City as well.
Hold it, because I don't want to believe that what you're saying is that because 𝐒𝐿 was not in charge of the game against Aston Villa, that was why they lost by 4-1.
Would you tell me 𝐒𝐿 won't tweak a little? That's maybe something. It ended 1-1 in the first half.
They've scored 9 goals without him in that
They've
first
scored
2
9
games.
goals in the first 2 games. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think I made mention of this on Friday that we look at it that from
why do you want to tweak anything when you scored 9 in those 2 games before the game against Aston Villa?
As much as we say we don't change the winning team, you don't change the winning formula and all that. Well, if you ask me, over the course of the weekend, yes, he shot himself in the leg.
What do you want to fix when something is not broken?
Listen, Peter, why? 𝐕𝐕𝐄 and who? Jacob Murphy, fine. You sold Miguel Almiron. You sold him during the winter transfer window, and then you were left with Jacob Murphy. But on the left, who happened to be your best left winger is Anthony Gordon. But yes, you know that 𝐕𝐕𝐄 is in quite maybe a bit of form, and then it just still felt that maybe it's not time for Anthony Gordon to also start a game, like to just deputize or to actually come onto the field of play and then take his position ahead of 𝐕𝐕𝐄. And so if you ask me, that's why I said that he shot himself in the leg. And going into that game, it was a game that they didn't make any substitution. They didn't make any change in their last 6.
Hold on. Let's take it one after the other here, because we have got so much to talk about. When you say he didn't make any sub in that game, when you say, are you putting the blame on 𝐕𝐕𝐄, the goals they conceded, or there were chances? Hold it. Or there were chances in that game that 𝐕𝐕𝐄 had and he didn't convert.
No, it's all about trying to tweak a little thing. You know, and Aston Villa side is a top side. You look at their level.
Do you think if that was 𝐒𝐿 in charge of that game, would have taken 𝐕𝐕𝐄 off and had Anthony start the game on Saturday against Villa?
I think that's something 𝐒𝐿 does from time to time.
But he hardly changed his team.
He does this from time to time.
No. SAMIES, 𝐒𝐿 hardly changed his team. It's the same 3 you see in the middle of the park. If none of them is out injured, it's the Italian, the Brazilian, and the other Brazilian, João Bruno Guimaraes, and Tonali. So he hardly except one of them is injured or suspended. He hardly changed. Even the back 4, except maybe at times you see Kieran Trippier come in, and then you have the other right full back plays, maybe Livramento, or you have Luis all the other. So this hardly change. He's always the former Brighton man and Fabian Schär, the Swiss. So I don't know where all of this is coming from. Your team scored 9 goals. If you had changed, assuming, and played Anthony, and they lost, you would have come here to say, why don't you start 𝐕𝐕𝐄? Why change the winning team? Let's move on, SAMIES. Our time is out because we need to move on to other things. Yeah, quickly here. So Liverpool, do you think that goal yesterday was signed, sealed, and delivered?
Well, of course, it just brought the party much more to an earlier date. If with the victory they got at the King Power Stadium yesterday, winning by 1-0. And for the goal scorer, it just happens to be a man that his future is not certain with the club yet, and he's not ready.
Maybe not with the club, but his future is certain.
With the club, like I said, with the club. His future is not certain with the club.
His future
is not certain with a real. With that's Liverpool football.
He has settled his future already. He just wanted to make it official. But it was good for him to score yesterday.
Well, of course, it was good for him. And you look at that many goals as Trent Alexander-Arnold scored, and maybe it's just also good for him to leave Liverpool on high scoring that goal yesterday. Like I said, it just brought the party to a nearer date because Arsenal, yes, they got a victory yesterday, also defeating Ipswich Town by 4-0. And Liverpool,
of course, yesterday. Those permutations that Arsenal lose the game, Liverpool win. That's it.
But then
Arsenal have to win and delay the party.
And now delay the party. But the party can still be much more earlier before even Liverpool puts a ball on the field of play. That's over the course of the weekend. If Arsenal loses to the hands of Crystal Palace, that's later on the Wednesday.
But Liverpool plays Spurs this weekend.
They play Spurs this weekend. They play Chelsea next. Then they play Arsenal. So you look at those run of fixtures. This with the groove within Liverpool now. Those 3 games are games that they could actually win and get 9 points.
SAMIES with 5 games to go. I'll put you on the spot in just a minute. Who for you have been the Premier League player of the season?
Wow. Premier League player of the
I've
season.
got no time because you know this award
But
will
of
come
course,
up before the end of the season.
The Premier League player of the season, I know he has not had the best of the last 30 days.
If
It still happens to be Mohamed Salah.
If he hadn't had the best, then he has to be Mo Salah.
It has to be, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's more Salah, of course. You look at the goals, you look at the assists, even though they have dried up since
Trying to surpass
Thierry
Henry.
Henry.
Yeah.
But then, since last month, it has all dried up. But everything he has done since the beginning of the season is what they are reaping
Who's
now.
close to him?
Close to him this season. Wow.
Maybe the next person is far. It's very far off.
Very far off. Very, very far off.
You know what I would have picked?
Very far.
You know what I would have picked?
Isaac?
No. David Raya.
Raya?
Let's move on.
No, you can actually pick a player from Nottingham Forest.
No.
Cells can be in contention.
Hold on. This thing is about me. I said David Raya. You can choose somebody else, but it's
Nah.
far from Mo Salah. No, that's what I'm saying.
No, of course.
For me, I think David Raya comes to mind because that guy has been fantastic for Arsenal Football Club. I know they've also had a few issues, but for me, David Raya. Let's jump to Spain because we've got no time. Just think about that. You can pick anybody. This is my pick. Anybody can pick whatever they want. His opinion, and of course, is subjective. Let's move on, SAMIES, here quickly. Yeah, let's go to Spain quickly and talk about how Barca from 3-1 down and went on to win by 4-3 against Celta Vigo in Barcelona. And then we'll have to wait for Real to get the job done. And bad that Atletico could not get a win in the game before that, where they lost by a goal to last round. Are we paying bills? Okay, it's not time for us to pay bills. So SAMIES here quickly. Let's go to Spain.
With the results that there in Spain, yes, you look at FC Barcelona, it was a good result for them. And you look at when the running came in the Spanish La Liga, their last 10 games, and you look at it that are they going to win all of their last 10 games? And you look at the results Barcelona they've gotten in these games. At the point they were losing by 2-0 against Atletico de Madrid.
Yeah.
They won that game 4-3, and then over the weekend also they were losing 3-1 and they won by 4-3. It all talks about the remontadas. The remontada, like
that never happened. That never happened. Yeah, that never happened.
Bernabeu. And then seriously, you look at it.
Your shooting stars were looking for that yesterday against Remo.
That one is not remontada.
That was Nicola Rabota. Rabota never happened in the
But you look, since Real Madrid last week and when they came up with the most used word in the dressing room and all that, certain teams they've made comebacks upon comebacks, but then
comeback is not. I know it's interesting in football, but no longer it's a big deal again how you come back.
Yeah, it's a big deal how you come back, of course, and to tell that the result it gives you also. Like now for FC Barcelona, it was a big overturn of result for them, and then they're actually getting closer.
What do you give this to the players, the coach?
You give it to the players, their resilience on the field of play. See, no matter the tactics that you deploy, it's still down to the resilience of the players to carry out your tactical discipline.
I know I'm going to say the players deserve it. For me, I think it's Hansi Flick. He deserves. Let's go play some base.
When we to Rafinha this season,
I know I'm not taking anything away from him.
Goals.
The coach put his confidence in him. If he hadn't, what would have happened? So I think for me, it's got to do with the German coach. He's always good in his first season. Go check in with Bayern. All right, so let's pay some bills. When we come back, we'll talk more from the world of European football. Italy will go, Bologna, Inter Milan, AC Milan, Atalanta. The future of the head coach of AC Milan is not certain. The Portuguese concerns are. Let's pay some bills. And when we come back, Shooting Stars against Remo Stars. Anybody also got us talking.
Feel better about your life.
32 FM, 94.9, the antidote to depression.
Tí wọ́n bá bi ọ́ léèrè pé kí o dárúkọ eré ìdíje géèmù mánigbàgbé tó dángájá, bẹ̀tánù ni ìdáhùn rẹ̀ lọ́jọ́kọ́jọ́. Ó yá tara ṣàṣà kí ìwọ náà bá wọn jẹ àǹfààní nínú géèmù alárinrin tó fanimọ́ra ní ìpele pẹ̀lú ẹgbẹ̀rún lọ́nà igba 200,000 owó ìkíni káàbọ̀ àti àwọn ẹ̀bùn mìíràn bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. bẹ̀tánù ayò ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ báyìí. Forí pípẹ́ tayò yìí o. Ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ látòrí ọmọ ọdún 18 lọ sókè. Alájọṣepọ̀ ẹgbẹ́ Aston Villa ni wá.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
All right, so let's not bring the arguments onto this mic. You watch him tonight. He's talking about the goalkeeper of Nottingham Forest, It's Belgian
Cells.
cells. So tonight we'll watch and see what he will do for his side. So that's the argument behind the match. Does not bring the other things we've been saying here. Let's talk about Italy quickly here. Inter Milan, Napoli. I love this. I've been waiting since the day the
Title race.
the league body in Italy have said if you're on the same point, there's no goal difference, there's no head to head. You have to go into a playoff. And I've been saying, God, when will that year come? I want to be here when that will happen. So maybe this year that will happen. In fact, I'm even praying more to say, God, I want more. I want Atlanta to have the same number of points like Inter and Napoli, and let them three of them have a playoff. I'm not saying this, I'm just praying. Just let three of them have a playoff, and then let me see how it happened. But for now, it's Inter Napoli, because Bologna said to them yesterday, we're going to throw this open, and that was Ossolini. The Italian hasn't played so many games for the national team of Italy, but it was hand yesterday. When you thought the game was done and dusted, I said, no, I want to change the whole script and change the headline. Bologna won by goal to nil. The head coach Italiano was sent off in that game, but that doesn't matter. Atalanta later in the day went to AC Milan. I didn't want to look my again in the build-up, in everything Atalanta did last night. They won by a goal to nil. So quickly here, Inter, Napoli. You see a playoff, because there was supposed to be a game today in Italy, but because of the demise of the Pope, those 3 games were postponed. But Inter, Napoli, quickly here, Sammy, share your thoughts.
Well, just like you actually want to see the playoffs go down in the Italian Serie A, well, I think it would be something to also look out for when, as regards it being a title decider, more like you're watching a final between two sides who are fighting for the title. And then, this can also go elsewhere. Maybe not the better team for the 38th match season, or then it can just come to Sherlock also for the certain team. But for Inter Milan, I think, well, they've done so well, and they can look into the coming games and say that we can pick up that the available. We have 5 games left. The available 15 points available. We can pick it up. But for Napoli, we've seen how they are struggling also since the second half of the season. They've not really been that side, and despite not playing any European competition.
Both teams have lost 4 games each.
Yeah, but the same number of games lost and drawn.
Yeah,
8 games drawn at 4 points.
Just that Inter scored more than Napoli.
Scored more
than Napoli. And Napoli defend more than Inter.
But then you look at the margin. You look at the goal difference now. For Napoli, they have 27.
Yeah.
And for Inter Milan, they have 40.
That's why
so it
Inter
also speaks about the gulf in class. They are scoring more. They are conceding more.
Yeah.
But you are not scoring more, and you are conceding less. How is it going to go? It is still not within the right proportion for you.
Is it fair for us to say cut Napoli, cut Conte some slack? Because if you take a look at Inter's front line, powerful than what you have with Napoli. Napoli, Raspadori, Simeone, Giovanni Simeone, and Romelu Lukaku is what they have. Talking about Napoli now.
They have Neres.
But again, you put them in the class of the 3 front men.
They had Kujak, they had Kvaratskhelia in the first half of the season.
Before we can't bring it now. It's gone. So let's move on. And you can't compare that with Inter, with Marcos Thuram, with Lautaro Martinez, with Correa, the Argentine, and of course Anatovic, the Austrian. So for me, I think Inter have got better players going forward. But that's not the argument here. The argument, is that Conte have been saying a lot of things, how he's counting on the Napoli fans. He's also hoping that they can go to the pitch and get the job done. But quickly here, Samis, before we leave Inter Milan and all of that, do you see the game against Barca in the next few days like a distraction that Napoli can take advantage of?
Well, of course, it is a game that would actually see Inter Milan, if they are going to be playing in the finals of the UEFA Champions League there in Munich, how they actually deploy themselves, how they set up their tactics there in the coming game against FC Barcelona. But then, talking about it being a distraction, I don't see it as a distraction, because for the entirety of this season,
3 championships they're going for, 3 trophies they're going for.
Yeah, they
play AC Milan in the Coppa Italia. Yeah, they have
the ability to win the treble. But the reason why I said it's not a distraction is you look at this season from the early stages. Napoli, they are not playing, or they were not playing. They've not been playing European competition.
Yes,
and this season, everything available. Inter Milan, they went for it. The only one they came out short is the Coppa Italia there in Saudi Arabia, where they lost to AC Milan by 2-1, and that's the only trophy they've lost this season. But then they still have 3 more titles to fight for, and I say that it's not a distraction because these guys are truly, they know what it takes.
All right, so there you have it in terms of a wrap of the Italian Serie A. And for Inter, they also have more in terms of difficult games than Napoli Football Club. This week they play in the Coppa Italia return leg against AC Milan. The first leg ended 1-1. Both teams, of course, use the same facility in Milan, and then of course this weekend they'll play against Roma before the Champions League game away against Football Club Barcelona. And talking about Football Club Barcelona, over the weekend we were here talking about the Women's Champions League. Arsenal lost at home to Olympique Lyonnais by 2-1. Chelsea lost away from home yesterday by 4-1 to Football Club Barcelona, the feminine side. All right, so on the continent also, the CAF Champions League, South African teams could not get a win against the Egyptian teams on Saturday. Sundowns goalless against Al Ahly. On Saturday also night, it was Pirates goalless against Pyramids, and so the return leg will be happening in a couple of days. Yesterday was a turn for the CAF Comfort Cup. Simba won their game at home by 0-0, and of course Buchanan defeated Constantine of Algeria by 4-0. So there you have it in terms of what happened on the continent. Let's come back and talk about on the NPFL. So I'll start in Ibadan because that's where the biggest game was. The Shooting Stars, they lost to Remo Stars by 0-0. SAMIES done and dusted, like I was talking about Liverpool a few minutes ago.
Well, with how many games?
With 4 more games.
4 more games left to play. That's 12 points to fight for. And you look at 7
all they
points.
need to win in this game is not even win.
They have a 7-point lead.
Yeah.
So your half it is even not up to the half of 12, if you ask me.
6.
So you look at it that maybe just one more victory, Remo Stars will be crowned champions of the NPFL, and that is down to Rivers United actually losing a game, if that is something that we can see also. But it was a big step for them.
To think that Rivers will have to go play, if I'm right, to go play away from home in the coming game, and Remo Stars will play at home. Rivers won yesterday against Sunshine Stars by 0-0, although they left it a little bit late, but they got it done. So, do you think with that permutation you said now, just one more win for Remo Stars, they will be champion? If Rivers go away from home in that next game, which we're trying to confirm, they play to Canipilas. Yeah. That's a tough one. Canipilas lost to Eyimba by 2-1 on Saturday. So, if they lose that game to Rivers United and Remo Stars got the job done, is done and dusted, right?
Well, definitely. You can say that it's done and dusted.
And that would mean Remo starts playing against Tornadoes of Mina. And they can have a party that day if it happens.
You call it a madness if Remo Stars don't actually win this NPFL title.
Yeah.
Because the writing is already on the wall.
Madness.
The inscription is already there.
Yeah.
Remo Stars, just go lift your crown as the champions of the NPFL. And I think that would be a good thing. But for them coming to Ibadan, yes, we know there was the absence of fans here in Ibadan and all that because of the incident that happened against Ikorodu City, where the league, the club, and also the fans, they are paying for it so dearly now because of the words of 𝐷𝐿 Ogbota. He said, yes, they miss the fans. Of course, why won't you miss the fans? Because they are the 12th men that get you going.
So let me speak to that fans before you wrap up the show. I'll allow you to wrap up the show. So let me speak about that fan and of course share my thoughts. This is not me asking question. So the fans, if they were educated enough, if they understand the league enough, when Shooting Stars played Ikorodu United City a couple of days ago, they were at the business end of the league. And the fans, they kind of took the law into their hands. And you know what the MPF will come. They will come at you. Shooting Stars, you even thank the Stars that 3 points wasn't taken away from them. Just the stadium ban. Hold a minute, SAMIES. And then Shooting Stars that was stalled, that was fought, that was fluctuating, and we're saying continental football might come. Now it's 8. It doesn't look like it's coming. It's not coming home like the English will say. Each time they go into a tournament, it's coming home. But this is not even coming close to anywhere in Ibadan. Maybe Ijebu is still close, but he's going to Ijebu. The guy don't see people. Now, hold it a bit, SAMIES. I'll allow you to finish because I know you're eager to say Lagos. Eager to say
go to Lagos. Ikorodu City, a newly promoted NPFL
So,
side.
I'm going to end
next
this
round
note.
of the Federation's Cup.
Let me wrap up my thoughts quickly here. You said something the other time about this is already going to Ijebu. It's going to Ikene. And you take a look at where Remo Stars are coming from. On how many occasions they finished second in the league?
Twice.
That is consistency. Now, you thought that would happen.
They finished third in the abridged league format when they gain promotion back into the top flight.
So when when you thought that with what Shooting Stars did in the second half of last season, they will bring that same form into the season, that never happened. At the point in time, they won 7 games or thereabouts.
Eight unbeaten. 7 wins, 1
draw. And then you say,
not conceding.
Yes, thank you for bringing all of that to the table. You think that was a good omen, but something changed in the last. And I was saying here,
Next 7,
I was
no
shouting,
victory.
I was shouting
No
here
clean sheets.
on this dial. I was saying the business end of the league is where the thing is. Samis, wrap up the show.
Well, it's just not good. I don't know why Mr. Hassan
You wrap up the show.
do this, wrap up the show. But definitely, I think there is still a bit of things that happened there over the course of the weekend here in the world of sports.
No, I was thinking you wrap up with Shooting Stars, so not any other thing again.
Well, for Shooting Stars, what else do we want to say? They lost by a goal to nil, and you look at where they stand on the NPFL standing. It's not even a place that I can be so proud to see. From watching me look at this side from second, now we find ourselves in the 8th position. That 8th position is not even safe. We can finish at the bottom half.
I was
table.
even shocked to see Insurance of Benin ahead of Shooting Stars.
Insurance.
It seemed that was 16-15.
Insurance that was fighting for survival.
Say Insurance gently. Pass some respect to it. I'm going. You finish the show.
Well, Lobby Stars confirmed relegated. They still lost over the course of the weekend. Then you can talk about Sunshine Stars also losing over the course of the weekend, the same as Oka United. But then you talk about some other sides in the NPFL. Well, definitely it was a good result for Plateau United. And then you talk about Wu, and that Castana United also getting a victory over the course of the weekend. But away from football quickly now, we talk about tennis. Jelena Ostapenko, well, she defeated Arina Sabalenka to win the Stuttgart Open, and definitely you tell that that was a great one for her. And then Olga Rune also defeated Carlos Alcaraz to win the Barcelona Open. Well, lots of events happened over the course of the weekend, but definitely we'll be here tomorrow again to discuss more sporting stories, starting straight from the games are set to go down later tonight. They're across different centres. Yes, at the Tottenham Stadium. It is Tottenham against Nottingham Forest. All games in Italy, they've been postponed until further date because of the death of the Pope. And then talk about the Spanish La Liga also. There is a game definitely going on there in the Spanish La Liga. I am SAMIES, your sports captain. I've done this alongside Peter. Do enjoy the rest.